You don't need me to tell you that the world is on fire and there's just like dumpster fires everywhere, but I will say there's a couple of major events that have happened that might have your people a lot anxious. And so I kind of want to talk about when I say check in with your people, what to do and what not to do. And I'm going to use my experience as a worker in 9/11. Yes, I was working in an office at the time. And I'm just going to hopefully give you some insights as to why I think about things the way I do. And I hopefully will give you some insight on how to check in with your people so that it matters. So, not to give the longest and 9/11 story, I usually post it on my Instagram every year because it was traumatic for a lot of us. And being part of that collective was something I'll never forget. But that day, 9/11, the leader of my department was just like a little, just the nicest man, very smart, but also a little like unafraid to like jump in the water. It was like a kindergartner, but in a man's body. Just was like unafraid and unabashed, and would jump in and try anything. Um, Shortening the story, as the team got in, he thought it would be a great idea for us to explore what was happening so we could get a better view. So we walked over to the Javits Center, which was the dumbest thing ever because the Javits Center is literally all glass. And we were just like, okay, that's stupid, right? So, don't lead your team near more danger, right? Just because you are thinking of, curiosity and exploration. Now, mind you, I think 9/11 catapulted conversations about tragedy and how do we support employees post that in a way, because I will tell you, working in the office, there were a lot of leaders who absolutely had no idea what they were supposed to do. There was no manual, there was no like processes in place. I think there are some companies that actually had it, but the one that I had when we were working in a very corporate, not corporate entertainment, but substantial company, there was no protocol. When there's no protocol, leaders then lead into some people lead into the personalities that they have, right? If you don't have structure, then you default to the structure that is innate within you. And this is when you start to see how people think about leadership. So we get back to the office, and predominantly male leadership team literally is just like joking, um out of nervousness, by the way. They're joking, they decide they're going to go a bar, wait things out, like, just, honestly, like, give people grace because this was an unprecedented time, but also just thinking about like where you decide to focus. So they just were like, they couldn't tell people what to do, how to get home, what resources were available. None of that really kind of, either existed, or they didn't think about how to focus on that. They were thinking centering how themselves and their personality outward to help people. And that is where we get into a problem because we are not all built the same. And so if you are someone who literally just when you are in times of stress, you are fearful, and your fear has you joke, it has you have nonsensical conversations, you try to brush it off by being very light and laissez-faire. That doesn't work, right? So this story time is really just kind of urging you, because there's so many situations, again, that I said are happening right now, and people are connected to them. Some of them are connected to them more specifically and directly than you think. And if you're a leader that you're not sure, do people have family and friends in these affected areas that are happening right now? Um, if you don't know, then you might make this mistake of just being very much like having an intellectual conversation about a world event where someone is actually emoting and hurting, and they actually need some sort of structural help, where it's just like, hey, let's, not have this meeting today. Hey, what can I do to best support you? I've been in situations where we have tried to get people who are stranded in countries that are having an issue out. Like, how do you buckle down and really support your employees rather than centering yourself out of your own fear and thinking you're acting in a way that commands leadership when it's really just not. It's your nervousness that's happening. So you need a structure and a protocol. This is why structures are really important and why people try to do leadership training, and some of you resist it because you think it's like HR just being on your back or some red tape. No, we're trying to give you the skills and the tools to be able to stand up as a leader when something happens that's really important to the world, which drills down to your team, right? Obviously, 9/11 has affected me. It's a moment where I saw so many people vulnerable in the workplace, and I think about that probably every single day. And, some of you are too young to even understand what that means. But today and days going forward, think about how you can decenter yourself to help someone else on your team, and not in a way that you think is helpful, but in a way that's really actually helpful to them.